Here we are at Shabbat again. We made it. I was thinking recently about Shabbat in Jerusalem, that special feeling that you get there. God willing, someday I'll be back. And sometimes when I'm in Jerusalem, I go to a synagogue called Har El, the oldest Reformed synagogue in Israel. They always end, or at least I think I remember, they always end with this song. Forgive my singing. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ve'ahavta l'reacha, reacha kamocha, ze klal gadol gadol b'Torah, Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, love your neighbor as yourself. That's the essence, that's the great rule of the Torah. Rabbi Akiva there, the ancient sage, is quoting a verse from this week's Torah portion, love your neighbor as yourself. The central, if you stretch out a Torah, it's right in the middle. Love your neighbor as yourself. Zeh klal gadol b'Torah, that's the great essence of the Torah. But how do we love our neighbor right now? We might be suspicious of our neighbor. They're not doing everything they can be doing to keep me safe. We might want to love our neighbor, but we feel trapped in our house. How can we do anything for them? You might have seen this week a message we sent out that you can support different causes around in the area to support people who need our support. That's one way of loving your neighbor. Please, every week, if you're able, be generous. But another way right now to love your neighbor is to recognize they're trying their hardest too. This is hard for them as it's hard for you. They're getting stir crazy just like you are getting stir crazy. They want to stay safe. You want to stay safe. Sometimes right now, loving your neighbor is a smile from more than 6 feet away. Loving your neighbor is a call. Loving your neighbor is setting up a Zoom happy hour. Amar Rabbi Akiva, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Rabbi Akiva says, our Torah says, love your neighbor as yourself. Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. But the central point is, in the Torah portion, this brings us close to God's holiness. Kedoshim tihiyu, God says at the beginning of the second part of our Torah reading this week. You shall be holy. Loving your neighbor brings you there. Doing the simple acts that we can do right now brings us close to God's holiness. Shabbat Shalom.